For as long as we've been around, we humans have been obsessed with finding the source. What's the source of life itself? What's the secret to living longer? And maybe the biggest question of all, what is the source code of the entire universe? So today, we're going to trace that epic search, looking at it through three really powerful lenses: science, faith, and philosophy. And it really all starts with a question I bet you've thought about at some point. Dr. Howard Friedman, a psychologist, puts it perfectly. Does praying actually lead to better health and maybe even a longer life? It's a question that connects our deepest beliefs with our most basic desire, to stick around. But okay, beyond what we might feel, what does the actual data have to say? Well, to find out, researchers started this massive study called the Longevity Project. And get this, for 20 years, they followed over 1,500 people, tracking pretty much everything about their lives. The first thing they noticed was fascinating. It turned out that religious people, especially women, actually did tend to live longer. But that just led to the million-dollar question. Was it the faith itself that was giving them extra years? So they dug a little deeper. And what they found was that the key factor wasn't just being religious. The real secret sauce, the thing that was actually extending life, was something a little more down to earth. Strong social involvement and a real sense of community. That feeling of belonging, of having people who have your back, that's what made the difference. So in this case, the source of a longer life, it was other people. Okay, so a strong community can add a few more years to your life. That's huge. But what if we could go way beyond just a few more years? What if we could find the source of a life that literally never ends? And this is where that human search takes a giant leap, from the science of longevity to the epic quest for actual immortality. And believe it or not, this idea isn't just science fiction. Nature itself gives us these incredible glimpses of what might be possible. I mean, you have bacteria that basically become immortal by just dividing forever. Or the hydra, this little freshwater creature that doesn't really seem to age at all. And it's these amazing examples that have inspired our own mission, right? The dream of using genetics, stem cells, and all sorts of new tech to finally conquer aging and disease for good. But for thousands of years, long before we even knew what a gene was, humanity had a very different framework for tackling these ultimate questions. The search for the source often led to the idea of a single, all-powerful creator. We call it monotheism, the belief in one God. And you have to realize, the idea of a single source was a total game changer in how we thought about the world. But here's the thing. This belief in one source isn't just one single idea. It shows up in all these different, really beautiful ways across cultures. For example, in Christianity, you have the concept of the Trinity, where one God is understood as three distinct persons. Then in Sikhism, you have the symbol ikankar, which represents that one supreme reality that's the foundation of everything. And the history of this idea goes back way back. This right here is the Faravahar. It's a major symbol in Zoroastrianism, which is one of the oldest monotheistic religions we know of. It represents a guardian spirit, pointing back to a single supreme being. It's just this incredible reminder that this search for one source has been a core part of the human journey for thousands and thousands of years. So the question is, how do you get to that belief in a single creator? Well, it's not always just a pure leap of faith. Very often, it's actually backed up by a really powerful and ancient line of reasoning, a philosophical argument that finds its evidence just by looking at the world around us. It has a fancy name, the teleological argument, but you've probably heard it called the argument from design. And the core idea is actually pretty simple. It just says, look around. Look at the insane complexity, the order, the way everything seems to have a purpose, from the way your eye works to how the planets orbit the sun. Could all of that really be an accident? The argument says no. This level of intricacy points to an intelligent designer. And this is not some new idea, not at all. Its roots stretch all the way back to ancient Greece. Philosophers like Plato and his student Aristotle were totally captivated by the universe's incredible order. They basically planted the seeds for an idea that people would be debating for the next couple thousand years. This quote from the Roman statesman Cicero just nails the logic perfectly. He's explaining what the Stoic philosophers believed, and it's basically an early version of the famous watchmaker analogy. The thinking is so clear. If you stumble upon a sundial in a field, you know someone designed it to tell time. You don't think it just appeared by chance. So when we look at a universe that is infinitely more complex, how could we possibly think it was just a random accident? But as powerful and intuitive as that idea feels, it is far from a settled issue. In fact, for centuries, it has been at the center of a huge philosophical fight. And that debate brings us face to face with one of history's greatest skeptics.
And what's so wild is that one of the sharpest critics of this argument, the philosopher David Hume, was also the one who probably stated it best. In one of his books, he has a character lay out the case perfectly. The universe looks like a giant, complex machine. It's way more amazing than anything a human could ever make. So it follows that the creator must be like a human mind, but, way, way more powerful.
But then, just as you're nodding along, Hume flips the entire argument on its head. Through another character, he asks this absolutely devastating question. How can we, with our tiny little brains and limited experience on this one planet, possibly make such a huge claim about the origin of everything? For all we know, he says, this universe isn't some grand masterpiece. Maybe it's just the clumsy first draft of some infant deity, a cosmic school project that his teachers would laugh at. It's such a brilliant critique that really pushes the limits of what we can claim to know. And so we're left with this amazing tapestry of human thought. The scientific search for a longer life points us back to each other, to our communities. The spiritual search so often leads to one single source. And the philosophical search, well, it sparks this incredible, endless debate about design and chance. Science, faith, philosophy, they all offer a different path on the same deep journey to find the source. Which really just leaves us with one last, very personal question. When you look out at the world, what is the source of your understanding?